This is B2B Cambodia. Tonight, we have the opportunity to interview Mr. Bradley J. Gordon and Mr. Steven Heimberg regarding their work on the return of Cambodian lost treasures and Cambodian Treasure Foundation. Next to me is Mr. Steven Heimberg, who is a physician and attorney from leading California law firm. In Cambodia, he is a co-founder and a board member of two NGOs. One called Empowering Youth in Cambodia, and another one is Advanced Center of Empowerment, which provide education and support to students and their communities in one of the worst slums in Phnom Penh. We have Mr. Bradley J. Gordon, who is founder of Eden Bridge Asia, previously known as Gordon Associates, I believe, founded in 2009. They help multinational companies, banks, financial institutions, and you work with government organizations, which one of them is Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts, right? And I believe you're currently engaged in the return of Khmer treasures, right? So my first question would be, how happy are you with the event tonight, with the AmCham, the gala? How do you feel about it? Like, what is your feedback?
I feel thrilled. I think this was a extremely meaningful and important historical event especially for the relationship between the United States and Cambodia, and to have Lieutenant General His Excellency Hun Min attend and have such an incredible turnout. Unbelievable. And it was a beautiful event.
The outpouring of support from the leadership of Cambodia was really reflective of the support we have been getting for years. So it was not only extremely productive and feeling like it's going to be a great start for the foundation, but it was really heartwarming as well.
I see. Great. We're happy that you enjoyed it. How did you guys get into actually working with Ministry of Culture? How did you get into this position and job to consider returning the treasures?
30 years ago, I went to the British Museum, and I saw the Parthenon statues, and a friend of mine educated me about why they should not be at the British Museum. And so when I came to Cambodia, and I learned about the looting, and I read about the looting, I was extremely interested in this, and I was appointed by the Department of Justice to help them in track a smuggling network. And then I kept going and kept researching, and Steve came on board 7 years ago. And we talked about the idea of why don't we reach out to one family who we knew had an extraordinary collection. And we talked to His Excellency Sukpuriwut, who was very supportive, and he loved the idea. And he brought us to see Minister Sakona and said, here's the team, let's go.
I see. On the topic of looting, I know that a lot of treasures go back to organized looting organizations, right? What was your challenges in getting in touch with them? What challenges did you face, and how did you, I would say, convince them to kind of share the information?
I guess there's two components. One is the looters themselves, and one is the rest of the world of collectors and museums and such. But why don't you talk about the looters?
Yeah, it was on the looter side. We have an extraordinary team, mostly women, and they have got out in the field, and we went village to village, and we were very honest about our mission, what we were trying to do. And we told people, look, we're lawyers, we're investigators, we're not here to punish you. We're not here to put you in prison. We need your help. And I think many of these individuals hadn't been asked to do such a thing for their nation before. And so they really grabbed this opportunity to do something good. So, I would think on their side of things, they feel very guilty, a lot of remorse for what they did. They did it to survive. They all say across the board, we want these to come back.
I see.
And with the collectors and the museums and others, we learned about those from a range of things, from just hard detective shoe leather kind of things all the way to sometimes it was dumb luck. The Architectural Digest published pictures of the home of a multi-billionaire in Florida that happened to have a bunch of Cambodian statues in it. Wow. And anyway, we kept getting information, putting more and more together, learning more, finding more places to go, getting more tips, working with more different investigatory bodies. And it just, like all investigations, these tend to reverberate and resonate. The more information we find, the more connections we make, the more keeps coming in.
But I would just add that no one person could do this. And we've had the privilege of working with some of the best investigators in the world. Special agents from Homeland Security investigations. We've had top U.S. prosecutors. We've had Lieutenant Colonel Matthew McDonald's, who is a big champion for returning statues. So we have, we're not doing this alone. We have some of the best minds in this particular area working with that for helping us.
I see. So you mean that your team is pretty big. I understand there's a lot of people are involved. But where are you getting the resources currently? That's a good question. Like, where are you getting the resources?
So we've patched together. So it's been a combination of, some of it's been our own personal funds. We're not charging for our time to the government. Mm-hmm. So, it's an enormous amount of effort and resources we put in personally. But we've also had the support of His Excellency Sopuriwa. He's put in money time to time on specific things. The ministry itself has paid for certain things. But it's clear to us, with all the victories we've had, this is not sustainable in the current situation. Yeah. We need a foundation, and we need the Cambodian Treasures Foundation. And I'm just so delighted that the community, we're both thrilled that the community is coming forward and recognizing this is a noble cause. And, so one friend said to me a couple months ago, he's like, there's got to be people out there who would help, And so you can see the reaction is enormous.
And there's so much that already we know we can do. So many places where we know statues are and artifacts are. So many battles that we know are there to fight that we think we can win as time and money permits.
I mean, sometimes I think that, we have a small team in some ways. We have 40 people, but they're not all full-time, right? They have all their other, they're conservationists, they're archaeologists, and so on. But I sometimes think, oh my God, this is so massive. This is multiple crime sites, thousands of statues. We easily could have a much larger team. And then we both know, we can see if he's been working in the salon for 10 years. We can see that we could do so much more with more financial resources.
You mentioned the foundation, Cambodian Treasure Foundation. Could you tell us more about what is Cambodian Treasure Foundation and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think a lot about where are we going. Steve and I talk a lot about next steps, what's going to happen. So we know that part of the story is the return of statues, but the next, a very important part is the discovery about where they came from and the history behind them, and then building a new museum, and then creating many jobs, creative economy jobs. All kinds of things can come out of this. A couple years ago, I said to the team, the ripple effect of all this is enormous. And at the time, some members of the team looked at me, what are you talking about? I'm like, just watch. When the statues start coming back and people see what's happening, it's going to be, it's in a way, a massive reallocation. It's taking objects that are sacred and living and have souls out of museums, out of collections, bringing them back here, giving them context, and maybe they'll go back out again. Maybe they'll go back out on international exhibitions and so on. And there's quite a few that the Cambodians would be happy to leave in museums on loan. That's okay. They don't all need to come home.
as you heard several times tonight, these aren't just pieces of stone. This is heritage. In my particular area of great interest, these are pieces of history. We're starting to piece together more of the Angkorian history and the greatness of the Khmer Empire, and where historically Cambodia has stood among nations, and where, when we think that hopefully with exhibitions and other things, Cambodia can start being recognized for that and regain its rightful place.
So you ask it, I mean, overall, the foundation, we can see that this takes a special entity, and it's going to take lots of different people with different talents, and we need to put it under a foundation. And then the foundation, our dream is a fully transparent, proper accounting, excellent board, a government advisory board, a public-private partnership with the ministry. The government to have the people who came tonight, Lieutenant General His Excellency Hun Manet, come and support this, means that this is organic. It's not just a foreign idea. It's something that the Cambodians themselves are supporting and buying into and saying, hey, yes, that's a great idea, let's do it.
And His Excellency's call to arms and to pockets was music to our ears tonight.
And extraordinary, his words, his support, his sincere gratitude for what the team has done.
I believe you mentioned previously that there was, you think there's more than 4,000 items, treasures out there. How many do you think have come back? Then what is the next collection coming in?
So we know that Homeland Security has just seized another set of sacred objects, cultural properties. It's more than 10. We haven't made an announcement yet, but I think in the next couple of months we'll be announcing that. So, there's a number that have been in stores that were given back last summer that are now flying. They're coming here tomorrow. They leave New York. So there's a group that's going to be arriving in the next couple of days. I expect by summer, with some of the major museums we're talking about and some of the major collectors, you will see some incredible announcement.
Yeah, we know there's 20 major museums and a dozen substantial collectors that, and well beyond that, but those where many statues, pieces are that deserve, and we will push in every way we can to be recovered.
You mentioned that there is some, I would say, difficulty in getting some of the treasures back. How many countries are you currently operating in? I would say, again, what is the actual challenge you're facing? What is the pushbacks?
It's where they are is the countries where the money is, for the most part. I mean, it's follow the money as most as the pushbacks is we're saying, give us the things in your possession, and they're saying, we don't want to. And there's denial, and what we need to do, a lot of our mission is investigating enough, learning enough to bring together enough evidence to make theirs pale in terms of anything that they try to use for rightful possession. And eventually, on top of that, bring in journalists and other vehicles for public pressure.
In some cases, law enforcement is helping us a lot. And I think law enforcement, Homeland Security coming to your house saying, you really want to keep these? That's made a big difference. But I think also the media has played an awesome role in helping us.
Yeah, about the media. I believe there's some treasures that had the big media attention. Do you think media exposure actually really helped to push it, or?
Sure, it helps, and it will help in the future. I mean, for example, we have asked politely on multiple occasions for the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York to return our statues. And we've asked them to follow their own policies and procedures, their own guidelines, the codes of ethics that museums like themselves claim to follow, to show us their rightful title, to show us what they have that backs up any legal right to possession. We're still waiting for that. And we hope that the media will help us make it clear that they have not provided any of that to either us or to the public to satisfy anybody's reasonable belief that they should retain it.
I would say that, look, right now, tonight, our time, this morning, New York time, there's this week, there's a podcast launched done by Doug, and they're focusing on one statue in particular called the Harihara, which is at the Met. And they're using a lot of documentation that was in the court cases that showed very clearly that it was taken out in 1974, it was stolen. It needs to go back. There's no question about it. So, we will tell the Met, yes. We've been saying in many different ways, Cambodia wants its statues back. Harihara is a priority, but there's many others. We don't want just one statue back. We don't want them to just say, okay, we'll give you the statue, stop asking us. They have more than 150 statues and cultural properties. Most of them we believe are stolen. So, if not all. So, and you need to come back. And what we found out from looking into the emails was one of their senior curators was in collusion with this notorious dealer when he retired. We still looking at what happened before, but when he retired, up until a couple of years ago, they were trying to sell Cambodian statues in New York at a gallery together. And so the Metropolitan Museum, one of their most senior curators, was in business with Douglas Watchford, this dealer. So
I would say my last question, or one of the last question, is if someone sees or recognizes a Cambodian treasure, what would be their way to contact you and get in terms of understanding whether it is stolen or identifying this treasure?
I think, at the moment, just today, if someone knows something, I would say contact us. We're fairly easy to find. Contact the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts. Contact the Cambodian Embassy. We have been getting quite a few people are contacting the Cambodian government, and we have a number of private collectors doing the right thing and just giving back. And in some cases, like if it's a duplicate or it's regarded as not so important, there's a discussion. But in many, there's some really important pieces being given back right now that we haven't announced yet. So when people start to see those, it's going to be incredible.
I see.
And in the future, I would say the foundation also would be, the foundation should have a hotline, it should have a website, and there will contact base so that when people want to give a tip or something, okay, they can just contact the foundation.
I see. Well, thank you very much for your time. What you're doing is a huge, I would say, huge payback to a community, and for Cambodians to see their treasures coming back. I would say it's my honor to be to have the interview with you guys and get your feedback. And what we saw tonight at AmCham during the Charity Gala was amazing. How many people are at the support, and I'm sure we'll have much more support coming in your way. And I heard whenever you mentioned that the statues have to come home, people were there. Yes, come home. I have to come home. So I see a huge, I would say, support out there, even from the local Cambodians and everyone there, that we should have this back and these treasures, and hopefully we'll see them back. And I should wish success to Cambodian Treasure Foundation. And I think AmCham made the first step, and we hope to see it grow and actually see the fruits of what tonight's event had begun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.